And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First IFR flying graphic here showing IFR eastern Arctic coast southwestward into the Koyukuk Valley. Another band of IFR here from the Seward Peninsula, Bering Strait, right on down into the southwest interior, kind of hanging up here along the western Alaska Range down into northeast Bristol Bay, and a narrow band just off the North Gulf Coast, and some more IFR here over the north central Bering Sea. Pribilof Islands forecast to be in marginal VFR, as well as the western Aleutians. And for the afternoon forecast, narrow band IFR right up through here from the eastern Arctic coast on down in toward the Kobuk Valley, and areas of IFR all the way down in the lower Yukon River Valley and to the Kuskokwim Mountains. This area of IFR out here kind of dissipating with the low center, pretty evident right about there, and some marginal VFR in toward Nunivak Island, and as usual IFR persisting in the Bering Strait, and a lot of marginal VFR for the southeast coast, Gulf of Alaska into Prince William Sound and the Kenai Peninsula. For the afternoon, maybe some IFR here over the Kenai Peninsula. Looks like it includes Portage, Alyeska, those areas, probably Whittier as well. And then back up here over the Alaska Range, areas of IFR also over the central interior, back out toward the Bering Strait. Pretty good up over the North Slope and Arctic coast. And a big area of IFR here out over the north central Bering Sea with VFR, Alaska Peninsula, all the way out to Amchitka Island. And for the afternoon on Wednesday, that area of IFR pushes back in toward the southwest, or pushes onto the southwest coast, and some more IFR up here over Kotzebue Sound, northwest coast there to about Cape Lisburne, or Point Hope, and then a couple areas of IFR up here over the Yukon Flats. Otherwise pretty good. VFR breaking out over the interior here, as well as the North Slope and the Brooks Range, and some lingering marginal VFR, Prince William Sound, Kenai Peninsula areas, but VFR for Kodiak Island and most of the southeast coast as well. Passes and Atuvik for Tuesday looks to be marginal VFR at times. Adigan maybe a little worse, call it IFR, part of the day anyway. Lake Clark and Merrill, IFR, rainy, IFR with the lowest conditions, all three passes on the eastern entrance. Windy, marginal VFR early, then VFR for the remainder of the day. And Isabel, VFR, Mintasta, VFR, and Tanita, VFR. And for Portage, go VFR with lingering marginal VFR on the eastern approach. And for Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR. And for the freezing levels at the surface, right off the North Gulf Coast for tomorrow morning, cutting down across the Panhandle, otherwise 2,000 feet for the southeast coastal areas. And we've got we got the surface here, well south of the Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula again. And for icing, areas of isolated moderate rime icing in an area here extending from the northwest southeastward here into the Kenai Peninsula, Prince William Sound, and covering the southwest interior there to about the mid-Yukon River Valley. And from there, taking a look at the jet stream, pretty light winds at 33,000 feet here across just about everywhere. We've got some 60 knot southerlies coming up toward Kodiak Island, turning southeast at 60 knots here across the southwest interior. And then on the south side of this couple of low centers here, westerlies at about 60 knots with the main jet core down to the south of the Aleutians. And at 9,000 feet, that cold upper low here out over the Bering Sea, 35 to 45 knot winds blowing around that center. Otherwise, pretty light here over the interior areas from the Arctic coast into the Gulf of Alaska, as well as the southeast coast. And 3,000 feet, light winds, Gulf of Alaska, interior Alaska here, all the way up until you get to the North Slope and Arctic coast, 35 to as high as 55 knots there with the strongest winds on the western Beaufort Sea coast, and westerlies 35 knots across the Bering Sea just south of that low center that's near or just south of St. Matthew Island. Turbulence-wise, occasional moderate turbulence here for the western Arctic coast with those stronger winds, otherwise isolated moderate for the North Slope and the central Arctic coastal areas, otherwise smooth everywhere else.